The Australian outback is one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Temperatures above 40 degrees, no water for hundreds of miles, no shade, no mercy. Most people wouldn't survive 3 days. Megee survived 71. But this story doesn't begin with a hike gone wrong. It begins with him waking up in a shallow grave. January 2006. Megee was driving through a remote stretch of the Northern Territory when he stopped to pick up 2 hitchhikers. His memory of what happened next is fragmented. He believes he was drugged. He remembers disorientation, then nothing, then dirt. He woke up partially buried in the earth, in the middle of the desert, completely alone. He dug himself out. His car was gone. His phone was gone. He had the clothes on his back and nothing else. Around him in every direction, the same flat, burning, empty landscape. The first challenge wasn't thirst, it was comprehension. His brain simply couldn't process a threat it had no category for. Neuroscientists call this threat appraisal delay. When a situation has no precedent, the rational brain briefly freezes, searching for a comparable experience and finding nothing. Megee stood still for a long time, not from fear, but from disbelief. Then he started walking, and he found the one thing that would keep him alive: a small, muddy waterhole. Survival experts agree on one principle above all others. With a water source nearby, staying put beats wandering. Moving burns calories and increases the odds you'll never be found. Megee made camp beside that waterhole, and he didn't leave it for over 2 months. Water wasn't enough. He needed food. In the Tanami Desert, food looks like a frog half buried in mud, a snake coiled under a rock, a leech floating in brown water. The brain's disgust response exists to protect us from contamination, but under enough caloric stress, hunger simply overrides it. He ate all of it, raw. The heat was the other enemy. At over 40 degrees with no shelter, a human body can reach fatal temperature within hours. Megee built shade from branches and bark, a crude roof between himself and a killing sun. He moved only at dawn and dusk and rested through the deadliest hours. Pure animal instinct, kicking in exactly when it was needed. As the days accumulated, the acute panic gave way to something quieter and more dangerous: the slow erosion of hope. Psychologists call it learned helplessness, when the brain concludes its actions have no effect and begins to withdraw. Megee later admitted there were weeks he stopped believing rescue was coming at all, but he never fully surrendered to it. Every day he explored a small radius from his camp, searching for food, checking for tracks, looking for any sign of another human being. It was both practical and psychological. It told his brain, you're still an agent, you still have choices, you are not yet defeated. The weight fell off at a terrifying rate. Over 110 kilograms before the ordeal, he could count his own ribs by week 4. In severe starvation, the brain rations its own resources with brutal efficiency. Memory blurs, concentration shortens, but the ancient survival drive stays remarkably intact, protected at almost any cost. Days blurred into one another. One waterhole, one patch of shade, the same sunrise and sunset again and again, with nothing to distinguish one day from the last. Time stopped behaving like time. And then, in his 9th week, he heard something that wasn't wind and wasn't an animal. A vehicle. Distant, then closer. He could barely stand. His legs had lost most of their muscle, but he staggered toward the sound with everything he had left. Workers from a remote cattle station found him wandering near their property. They almost drove past him. One worker looked twice. He weighed 48 kilograms, over half his body weight gone. He was airlifted to Royal Darwin Hospital, where doctors began the careful, dangerous process of refeeding a body that had starved for that long. Survival, it turns out, doesn't end the moment you're found. Police found no evidence of a crime, no car, no hitchhikers, no grave. Some questioned his account, but no one disputed the physical evidence. He had survived 71 days in the Tanami Desert, and researchers who reviewed the case agreed the timeline was biologically consistent with the wet season that had just begun. What stayed with them wasn't the physical survival, it was the absence of a complete psychological collapse. The key, researchers concluded, was that waterhole, a focal point that gave his brain a reason to stay, a task to perform, a boundary to organize his world around. Ricky Megee walked out of a hospital in Darwin having lost half his body weight and gained something harder to measure. 71 days. A waterhole, a handful of frogs, and a mind that refused to stop. That's last chance survival. Enjoyed the video? Then please like and subscribe to the channel.